Dang it. We got a lot of tiki torch fluid, so we need to buy some tiki torches and have a tiki party. I know you guys have heard it before. If you fail to plan, you plan to fail. And that's not true. Be free and slither. I may have made some mistakes already. It is mere moments after we completed our front of the house makeover in 3 days for under 500 bucks. In doing that, we installed some of this fancy new fence after we stained it, and it sure looks sharp if I do say so myself. I was looking at that, and then, you know, I wandered over this way. Dang it. Since it's a beautiful day here, we are gonna throw ourselves headlong down the slippery slope of, while we're at it, we may as well, because, you know, we got a system, right? And all of our staining stuff is out. It's nice out. And I could make it better. So we're gonna, let's make it better. So here's what we're dealing with. This contraption was free to me, which is great because, you know, I didn't have any money when I moved into this house and I needed a thing, but since that time it has rusted itself open. It's been clobbered by a truck that was dropping mulch right here that clobbered everything. It's got a lot of stuff that we want accessible on the driveway, but there's a better way and a lot of that stuff can go away. So I think its time is up. This fence was free and probably has been here for like 10 years and looks it. All of this junk is half trash. We've got some stuff that's ready to go to the scrap land, which is like those fans and stuff like that. I don't really like going to the scrap metal place because A, it's a hassle, but B, if you're of my generation and you grew up watching The Brave Little Toaster, it can be a really sad place to be when you see the thing come down and it's just, if you don't know what I'm talking about, watch The Brave Little Toaster. Or maybe don't, I don't know. It'll ruin your day. So the plan's relatively simple. Get rid of everything we don't need, tidy up what's there, replace this fence with a fence that's more like this, and we're gonna create a skin for these gates. I think the cleaning up part and sort of the reorganization is gonna take longer than whatever, but it's around 2:30 now. Sunset's around 7. Let's get the hell after it. Oh, full disclosure, while I was out petunia shopping, on our last video, I made it to Home Depot and got all of the material I needed, and it is out here in the sun drying off. It's pressure treated. It was stacked in pallets outside at Home Depot. So, you know, we're gonna stain it today, I hope. And it needed just a little bit of, you know, cooking. For the most part, this is just gonna be kind of a facelift. We are going to put this new fence right in front of this metal fence, which is where this other crappy wood fence is right now. Meaning we don't have to drive any 4x4s or whatever into the ground and concrete those in or whatever. We're using the structure of the existing chain link and we're gonna just, you know, church it up, put a little lipstick on it, that kind of thing. But we're also gonna make some gate covers because that doesn't look great. I don't want anybody's eyeballs just going back there, you know, unsolicited. I mean, you guys are fine. There's like 4 people that watch the channel. But like the average walking buyer person needs no business on what's going on back here. Yeah, I don't wanna, but we might find something good in there. I don't know. That's the purple paint I put on the porch 10 years ago. Think it's still good? I think we'll do that next. Can we use 10-year-old paint that's been opened again? Got to have that. All right, we got good news and bad news. I got this thing all cleared out. That's the good news. The bad news is it's all right here. And we got a lot of tiki torch fluid, so we need to buy some tiki torches and have a tiki party. It's occurring to me now that I don't know what to do with this yet, because right now the truck is full of lumber, so I can't just start loading scrap metal into the truck. And I also need to cut all the lumber that's in the back of the truck, and my saw is over there, and this is between me and where I need to go. So, check this little feller out. I'm really glad I did not squish him. Gonna find him a happy new home in the garden. Gang, don't be killing snakes just because you're scared of them. Where is a good spot for you? How about right here? Be free and slither. I may have made some mistakes already. My enthusiasm from the previous project launched me directly into this project, and we didn't really do so much of the planning thing. I know you guys have heard it before. if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. And that's not true. You just might get in your own way a little bit, and if you're willing to accept that, then just dive in and, you know, figure it out as you go. So I was eyeballing the sun, and I thought, well, that's about 4 hours until we're out of sunlight. So I thought, this is still a thing right now, so we might as well prep our fence. I wanted to stain all of this at once because that kind of makes some sense. But in order to stain all of it at once, we need to turn these sticks into the fences that we need. Got to plug that in to make it work. Alright gang, sun's still out, but she's going down. So, not as far as I hope, but not bad for an improvisational project, and every single one of my pitfalls on display. Diving in without a plan or an order of operations, just kind of feeling the sunny day and going with it. And I also, you know, somehow shoehorned myself into the smallest working space possible. I built everything that needed to be built, 2 gate panels, 1 panel for over there. We need to cut one of the prefab panels, and everything gets stained and then gets installed. So not bad. It's probably, I think it's like 6:30 or 7, so 3.5 hours, something like that, plus dealing with all of this mess and making more of a mess out of a contained mess, making it an uncontained mess. Good morning, everybody. Technically in the calendar this is day 2 of our project, but in project standard time it's really day 0.5, so we're picking up, I don't know, 3 or 4 hours in. Quick thing about stain, I'll put the deck video up here because I get into it a little more, but we want to waterproof this. So we want a penetrating oil. Oil and water don't mix. So you can see right there, it says penetrating oil. This particular company, along with most other ones, have the same color in water-based and oil-based. It's extremely confusing. If it's not crystal clear on the thing, spin the can around and look for the cleanup. If it says mineral spirits or paint thinner, you're dealing with an oil-based product. If it says soap and water, gang, you're dealing with a water-based product. Water-based products do not repel water nearly as well. They're kind of like a top coat sealer thing. Just do it right. In my opinion, right is this stuff. I also have mineral spirits, another can of it here, because I found that the texture of this fence it's so rough that spreading it, even with a roller, it puts it on really thick, which there's 2 problems with that. 1, it doesn't spread very well, so it's not very even. 2, it drops a lot of pigment, so I get a darker color than I want. What I've been doing is putting my stain on and then pouring some mineral spirits and helping that to spread it around. This semi-transparent stain turned out a little darker than I wanted, so I've been cutting it with clear. At this point, I've already got a mixture of clear and chocolate stain in here. I'm going to mix another 1-to-1 and we'll see what happens. Is it going to be exactly like the batch I did last? No, it's not, and that's okay for me. So if you're mixing stain like I am, if you're really particular and you need it to be just the same, which I don't, you want to mix everything together before you start. And you know, if you see, you know, chocolate number 4629, chocolate number 4629, and you're like, yeah, those are the same stain. No. Trust no one. They're not going to be the same. They're not going to match. So you kind of need to mix these things together before you start if you are super particular, which I'm not. Also, this stuff, you gotta give it some of this action. All the pigment settles on the bottom, which means, especially in these 5-gallon fellers, if you're not paying attention and you, like, you know, put the first coat of stain on by pouring out of the top of this 5-gallon bucket, it's gonna be this like really light, mostly transparent color. And then by the time you get to the bottom half of the bucket, it's gonna be almost a solid opaque stain. So if you're picking this up from the store, even if you're not gonna use it immediately, it's a good idea to have them put it in the shaker for you, because the 5 gallons are really hard to you know, do this too. All right, I'm telling you guys right now, this is not the way to do it, but I'm committed to making this mess. This is just how I've done it because I don't have a funnel that would make this better. And this is a good time to remind you, any project like this is not the time to put on your best Banana Republics, man. You need clothes that you do not care about at all because it's messy. Another thing about oil-based stain, it's oil-based. It never really dries, right? Water-based stuff dries. Oil-based stuff kind of soaks in. And polyurethanes and chemical compounds, they kind of cure. It's more of a chemical reaction. That stuff is really yellow for supposing to be clear. And actually, I did try this on its own. It's got quite a yellow tint to it on my little experimental piece, and don't like it. That's a lot of pigment for being clear. I don't know if you guys can see that. That's a problem. Good thing I put the cap there. Yep. Perfect. I'm going to break every stain rule in the book. And if you think there are no rules about stain, holy smokes. If you look on the internet trying to find out how to do this, there's like special applicators and don't use this and don't use that. On a fence, it doesn't matter. If you're like refinishing your grandma's antique dining room table, you should be a little bit more particular. For this, we just need to get stain onto the fence and not too much. And too much is only defined by a pool that will never dry. It's extremely simple. So, I have a crappy brush. I have a peanut car washing sponge, and I have a roller that people say to never use. And you know, the one thing I don't have is a lamb's wool applicator. Nothing wrong with those. I don't have one because this surface is so rough, it would just get torn to shreds, which is why we're using this roller. And it's a roller that I used 2 days ago on the other fence. And I didn't clean it, I didn't do anything to it, but guess what? It's oil-based, so it never dries. So here's how I do this. I take my glob of stain, right? And then I just roll it on. And you'll see that this is way thicker than I want. Also, I do not have a drop cloth down. That is because I don't think I could make this driveway any worse if I tried. However, if you have a nice concrete driveway, or live in a place with a homeowners association, I'm sorry if you do, then you might want to consider investing the 12 bucks in a drop cloth. Now, take some mineral spirits. Man, this is going to be frowned upon by a lot of people. Just thinning it out. Yep, just like that. Breaking up my edges. Take a rag. We'll talk about disposing of this rag later. Just like that. And we'll keep going until we're done. We'll flip it over. We'll do the other side. And get all of our fence just the same way. All right, gang. There they are. I know I treat this with complete irreverence, but there's a reason for that. It's pressure treated fencing. If you're OCD or like you need to know the right way, like there isn't one. Spread the stain on. If it pools up, wipe the pool off, and that's it. Also, if you're gonna do a project like this, make sure that you have a good belt on before you start, because otherwise you're gonna turn from a fence stainer guy into a plumber like that. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm gonna display for you one of my lesser known talents, and that is my ability to move heavy stuff by myself. Now, it may be lesser known because like I do it by myself. It's like if a talent falls in the woods and there's nobody there to hear it, is it like, you know, still a talent? Please enjoy this demonstration. All right, there you have it. So I just jammed a couple screws into this guy so that I can now access both sides without flipping it over and dealing with all of that. Painting it vertically is less than ideal, but so is flipping over an 8-foot by 6-foot fence panel by yourself once it's covered in stain. Looking sharp, if I do say so myself. The only problem is that's not at all. right, in one majestic maneuver, we laid that one down by just letting it fall. It's called floating. It actually, if you just drop something big and heavy, it kind of works like its own sort of sail, and it'll land pretty lightly. Less likely to murder yourself too if you're, trying to bring it down slowly. So this one is here. This one we can stand back up, attach these two, then we will get our measurement from here to here. We will cut that out of that one, then we will use the remainder to go from here to here. All right, team, because we've got to cut panels down, there are only 3 supports, so we need 2 more vertical supports to catch the ends of our fencing. First of all, wiggly stick of truth. Mark what we want. You got to line your blade up with the mark, like so, right? So that's where the saw wants to be. Then you slide that over, and with one hand, you hold the square, with one hand, you hold the saw, and then with the third hand, you hold the camera to show the world what you're trying to do here. Make sure your saw is set to go through the entire piece of material. Yep. Bam. Square. Made my measurements, wrote it down on my trusty notepad. I need one at 43.5 and one at 37.5. Now these are inches. I don't know about you, but I do this in all different ways, all different times on one project. Sometimes I'll write 4 foot 3.5. Sometimes I'll write 43.5. This is all just inches. So I got to remember that because those are totally different measurements. So I'm gonna start here, come in 4 foot 3.5. Nope, not that. I already see what I just did there? Trying to explain it to you and I'm confusing myself. 43 and 1/2 inches. Now I'm gonna save myself some trouble. I'm gonna hook my chalk line onto it right here. Still on my mark. Bam, that's my cut line, but I'm not gonna cut it yet. I'm going to install our other piece that runs up and down, screw it in so that I don't have a bunch of wangly danglies after I cut it. All right, I jammed one screw in. I just lined it up with my mark. I'll just cut right against this thing. I go down to the other end, line up the mark, and then I'll put a screw in every one of these boards. All right, let's cut it. Let's get this guy into place. We'll jam the side we're not in love with in the corner, and then we'll cut this other piece down same way, start installing. So I jammed it in there. I actually butted those side by side and then realized a tiny bit of overlap was the best way. It's interesting though, because they're even at the top. You can see that the board spacing on these, I mean, let's be real, they're cheap fences. So if you wanted to build your own, you could make the board spacing even, assuming the boards are the same size, but so not so bad. I might have to mess with the angle of the dangle here on the gates, but I can't say these gates were ever great. You know, they are running downhill, but initial adjustment is not too bad. We still have a whole lot of mess to clean up. And a trip to the dump, a trip to the scrap metal place, but this is looking, you know, better. Gang, do not adjust your television screens. It's me. I'm just filthy. Not so bad. This is definitely some solid B student work. We came up with a design. We used some pre-made panels. We built some of our own panels. It now matches with the work we did on the front of the house. You can find that video here. And it looks way better. We didn't break our backs. We didn't break the budget. Those are two very important things. I think we're right in around 250 American dollars now. We did attach this to an existing fence, so we didn't have to put posts in or anything like that, but this is a big improvement over the chain link that was already there. Plus, this used to be wide open, and while you can still see into the yard, which is a mess back there, there's a little bit more privacy. I mean, I am putting this on the internet, so privacy is kind of a... But nobody watches the channel, so that's cool too. So my version of a potting bench will still need some work here, but this prototype is indeed functioning, and it can stay just like this until I decide A, what I want to do, and B, have the motivation to do it. So there you have it, guys. B student work is really all you need. You can go above and beyond and get everything perfect, build everything custom, but I don't care where you live, the moment that you install it, the earth is going to start to claw back at it, and it's going to age, and it's going to need maintenance and all that stuff. And don't get down on yourself if everything you do doesn't look like, you know, Better Homes and Gardens magazine. It takes a team of people to do that. So don't beat yourself up if your project doesn't come out looking like the stuff you're seeing on house flipper shows and all of that. It takes an army of people to make it look that good for television, and those guys don't have to maintain anything, and they're getting paid to be there. You, on the other hand, are paying to do this stuff, and you know what? There's better ways to spend your weekend. So make it look nice, look at it, enjoy it, improve it, and then go get yourself some tacos or something. It's gonna be okay. You've made it better. We've made it better. Good luck on your projects. We will see you next time.